why do you think there's still so much opportunity out there? How did you get your first customer? How did you feel when that first purchase went through of someone who you didn't know? Welcome to the JOD Pod, a micro podcast where we interview CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, coaches, and authors. Today we are very lucky to be joined by Gulce Onganer. Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Founder and chief creative nerd at Jumpstart YouTube. Gulce, great to have you on the JOD Pod.
Thank you so much for having me. This is my pleasure. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Thanks, Gulce. For those of us who don't know you and what you do, Gulce, who are you?
Well, I'm the founder of Jumpstart YouTube, and I'm the chief creative nerd there, creating all sorts of video content for YouTube. And I'm also a YouTube strategist for online coaches and entrepreneurs who want to YouTube their way to higher impact, leads, and consistent income. So I'm all about watching YouTube. I'm all about creating for YouTube, helping others create the same as well.
It's wonderful. Gulce, I love what you do. There seems to be such a still opportunity on YouTube, and it's probably the social media channel that's been around the longest. Why do you think there's still so much opportunity out there?
Yeah, I feel like with video, it takes a little bit of time before people fully embrace it and really make it part of their content marketing plan. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the main reasons why perhaps it's been a little bit easier to do other sorts of medium on social media. And this is one of the main reasons why not too many of the businesses are utilizing YouTube yet, because I feel like there is this common misconception that it just takes a lot of time. You need this extra bandwidth to create and produce all of these videos. And a lot of the companies and service-based entrepreneurs are not maybe fully aware of the kind of return on investment that they would actually get if they were to create content on YouTube. So as of 2020, there were only about just over 60% of businesses on YouTube, which kind of goes to show you there is still sort of a big proportion of the industries out there, businesses out there who are yet to get on YouTube. But if you ask my opinion, it's really not that difficult to get started. And in my opinion, obviously this is super biased, but once you put that effort into creating that one piece of video content, you're basically sorted for a very, very long time. So in my opinion, it saves entrepreneurs both time and a lot of headspace.
Yeah, we work with lots of different businesses that creating their social media for them, and most channels, it's so ephemeral. Like the content disappears after 24 hours. And that's being generous. Whereas with YouTube, it's evergreen. Like a lot of the content is evergreen, isn't it?
Exactly. You can definitely ride the trends in your industry as well, and also make more sort of one-off videos. But most of the time, the content on YouTube is evergreen. And because it is a search engine, if you're targeting the right keywords and if you're optimizing everything the correct way, that one piece of content is definitely going to live longer than a day, is definitely going to be viewed for more than hopefully 60 seconds, depending on, of course, what you're making the videos about. But essentially, I'm just really all about getting more for the effort and the time that you're putting in. And I also kind of really love the concept of getting paid to promote yourself and your business. I think this is one of the main things that actually pushed me to start a channel of my own about 2.5 years ago to begin with. I like to kind of, for lack of better saying, kill two birds with one stone. Of course, we shouldn't be killing birds, but you get the analogy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where my logic is at with that.
Okay. And, you and I have spoken before, but I'm fascinated by your story. One of the things that I always talk about is why people became entrepreneurs in the first place. Was it something that was always bugging you throughout your previous career before jumping into YouTube as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I love that question. And this is something that I've been kind of unpacking the past couple of weeks when I had my time off. And actually, I was always a lot more entrepreneurial and I had serious entrepreneurial tendencies way, way before. And back then, I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know the word entrepreneur existed. So it was really hard for me to like pinpoint exactly what was it that I was going through. So I was always very creative, coming up with all sorts of ideas. I remember as young as I think 7 or 8, I would cut out magazines and I would make my own versions of magazines and go out on the street and try to sell it to people. I would collect stones, paint on them, and try to sell it to people. And I had a camera recorder, which was my dad's at the time. So we're looking at like one of those very old Panasonic cam recorders, like slightly more upgraded than a VHS, but still a little bit outdated. I would record videos, like I was making vlogs at age 8, 9. So I was kind of always this creative kid, and I didn't quite know that this could, potentially turn into a career on the long run. So for anyone who's listening to this, if you do tap into your childhood and you have these moments of creativity, you're probably an entrepreneur, and maybe the society just tells you you need to get a steady job and have a steady education. And that was basically my case. I went to study architecture, and my justification there was that, it's still creative while still, quote unquote, some sort of a reputable profession. And, hopefully I'll be able to get a job, climb up the corporate ladder, and then eventually make something great of my life. And then just a few years in, I realized that this is not what I had hoped for, and this is really not the path for me. So more and more, that entrepreneurial side of me was really coming through. And at some point, I couldn't fight her anymore. She just had to be out there. So this is basically how everything started around, I would like to say, end of 2017, start of 2018. So in a weird way, yes, apparently I was always somewhat of an entrepreneurial kid and entrepreneurial woman, but um, I always thought like that was not really the path to go, that I should be in the corporate world, until that day when I sort of like had to kind of face this reality that no, you have to do something for yourself.
That's wonderful. And I think one of the things that you've alluded to throughout that is the fact that you've been creating throughout that whole time. I speak to a lot of young people that say that they're creative, but then don't actually do the first part of that word, which is create, and creating often, and getting into a habit of creating. And creativity doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a creative. Like, you can be creative in lots of different ways. Salespeople are creative. Operations people need to be creative to come up with ideas. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to just do art or, architecture or something like that. There's other ways that you can be creative. Um, when you made the decision to go down the entrepreneurial route, how did you get your first customer?
Yeah, this is a really, really, really great question. So, the first time I ever officially launched something was a little over a year ago. So, it was summer of 2020, with the crisis that was going on at the time. Quite brave of me to, launch something and sort of hope that I'm going to be making sales, because at that time I was also kind of panicking, just as many of us were, because of the uncertainty and not knowing what's going to happen. So that's when I sold my first ever digital product, which was a 21-day accelerator course. And at that time, that was designed for young architects who want to take the leap and start their own business. So back then, I was still sort of running this architecture related business that I have, which now has also transitioned into Jumpstart YouTube. So basically, it's a way of also showing architects and other kind of creative people in different kind of industries that are creative, like industrial design, interior design, that they can also get on YouTube and also make that part of their business, and if not, maybe leave their actual jobs and do this full time. So that was sort of the first time I ever launched something. And then for that, I leveraged Instagram as my main platform. So I had about 10K followers that I've been building up on Instagram. um, I was so heavy on Instagram, putting so much time, effort, resources, and also spending money because I did run like a few very small ads as well to grow the following. And I did in that first launch make about $1,000, which for me at the time was like such a big deal. So I think around 15 or 16 people signed up at $50 each. And I was like over the moon. It was really, really fantastic. It was just really about like punching that fear in the face and getting started. Um, I hoped someone would buy, and that someone wouldn't be someone that's very close to me, like a friend or a relative, which didn't end up happening. So I was very, very happy about that. So that's kind of been my journey of the first time ever launching a product.
How did you feel when that first purchase went through of someone who you didn't know?
Honestly, it was within about 5 minutes of me launching the product.
Wow.
I launched it on Instagram because that's where I was also building the buzz, the pre-launch, and really posting consistently and all of that. And I said the link is in the bio, go purchase it. I will never forget, like I checked my email, notification popped up saying like, oh, so and so purchased your course. And then I was like, oh my God, this is actually freaking crazy. Someone actually purchased this because honestly, like obviously I did this because I wanted to sell it and, earn some income, but I didn't expect that someone would buy it so quickly. And at that point, something major happened. It's this realization. Now I have to build it because I actually sold it before actually even recording the lessons. Like I had an outline. I knew what was going to go in it. I knew exactly what the outcome was and what the journey of the course and the process would be like. But basically, I sold the idea. I marketed the idea, the transformation, the benefits. And when people actually signed up onto it, I had then about just over 1 week to put everything together for the official release of the product, let's say. So I will never forget that moment. It was a fantastic moment. Like I did something and someone paid me for it. This is freaking awesome.
Brilliant. I've got goosebumps even just thinking about that. You doing that in the middle of the pandemic, launching
Yeah.
launching something, someone buying it that hasn't necessarily bought it before, and then you having to build it. Like that's if that's not punching fear in the face, I don't know what is. Gulce, that's wonderful. So what? Tell me more about what you're doing now with Jumpstart YouTube.
Yeah, so fast forward a year later, I really kind of niche down even more for myself. And this is something that I do encourage other people do as well. Think about what is it that you love to do? What gives you joy? What are you very skilled at? But also, what does the world need? And when you sort of look at every single one of those things for yourself, you will come up with different niches. And within those niches, it never really hurts to dig a lot deeper to position yourself in a much more unique way. So for me, instead of being that girl that teaches about business and marketing for young architects, I really focused on the marketing side of things. And within the marketing side of things, I thought, okay, video marketing is my jam. This is the area that I really want to be specialized in. So whether that's for architects, online coaches, or entrepreneurs, mainly service-based businesses, service providers who want to get started with their video marketing and have that be on YouTube. So that's kind of been my journey and my thought process. And during this journey, it's been kind of challenging at times to disassociate myself, my identity, from just being an architect. Maybe those listening and maybe you also can relate to this, that we spend so many years studying something, building up this expectation of who we are and how the society perceives us and how we want to be perceived by other people. And for me, this architect, this designer was very much part of my identity. And having sort of goodbye to that and gently letting it go has been one of the most kind of introspective moments of my life. It's been such a journey. And once you sort of disassociate yourself with what is it that you're doing. So the kind of value, the outcome you're getting for customers, it becomes so much more easier to pivot, niche down, and make changes in your business moving forward. So now I'm all about YouTube, all about video marketing and getting people to create a life that they love, sharing themselves, being themselves on camera, and get paid to promote their own business. So that's like my number one passion in life at the moment.
It's wonderful as well, Gulce, because it's so obvious from talking to you that is your passion, and it just kind of shines out of you like this energy that you've got for what you do. It's so wonderful.
Yes.
Anybody that's listening to this that's thinking about starting a YouTube channel up, go and see what Gulce's doing. We'll put a link to her stuff in the show notes, obviously, but it's such a joy to watch Gulce in action and just follow her social media accounts. It really is. I'm so lucky to be speaking to Gulce and to see the work that she's been doing online over the last few months. It's been a real pleasure. It really has. Gulce, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Okay, well, you know what? I have no choice, so I am ready. I'm ready.
Good. What's your number one app, the app that you use every day?
I really love Adobe Premiere Pro. I do all sorts of video editing on there, and I know there are different alternatives. There's Final Cut Pro. There is a couple of free ones as well, I believe. But Adobe Premiere Pro, with that, you can even edit a movie. Like, it's perfect in my opinion. And I really love discovering new sides of the software that I use for my own edits, as well as, edits that I do for clients as well. So it's an app that I basically open every single day.
That's wonderful. Like, as a video maker, it makes absolutely perfect sense. That's what you use. I use Final Cut Pro for all of mine,
which is also great. It's
very good. It's very good. And it's one of those things, like I started with iMovie, but a lot of times when people are editing their own videos, and I'm sure you'll echo this, but just give it a go. Just try it out, because the tools, you can't really break anything, and you can just experiment. And sometimes the mistakes is actually where you learn and you figure out different ways of doing things. And there's so many tutorials available now to actually do the video editing yourself. But most of the time, don't over polish. That's my take on it. Get things out. People are more interested in the content than an absolutely super polished end product.
Yeah,
hopefully
definitely.
You agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I did, in my early days, start out with iMovie as well, just kind of like dabbling my feet, trying to understand like how do you edit, how do you piece a story together. And then eventually, once you make that switch, like, okay, this is the thing that I'm going to do, I love this, then you can think about investing in paid software like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro or any other kind of software. But it is really more about getting started, and then over time just think about improving one thing as you go.
Yeah, totally. Start with free. You'll be able to do amazing things with free. You really will.
Yeah.
What are you reading? What are you suggesting other people read at the moment, Gulce?
Yeah, actually at the moment, I do have the book right next to me as well. This is a little bit of a plug, but I am reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a book that I'm sure you have also heard everybody talk about. All the bloggers, all the productivity gurus, all the influencers, all the YouTubers. As far as I'm concerned, I follow Ali Abdaal, Matt Diavella, Peter McKinnon. I'm pretty sure they mentioned this book at least 100 times. So I thought, you know what? I'm finally going to also give a go and start reading the book. I'm about 1/3 in, and I really love it so far because it is very practical. It's not one of those like rah, you got this kind of motivational books. I like that it has some clear steps then you can just follow if you really want to build these atomic habits and really, let them build over time, build momentum, and as the book says, have remarkable results. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Fantastic. Well, we'll link to James again. He doesn't need any help from us. He's already doing all right. But, if you haven't read James Clear, Atomic Habits, Gulce's a fan. I'm a fan. I like his hairdresser as well. Who do you like watching on YouTube or listening to on your podcasts, Gulce? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, love that question. Recently, I started to listen to a podcast called Chill and Prosper by Denise DeField Thomas. And she's a money mentor, and she also has several books. She's written all about how to get rid of your money blocks to, increase your earning potential, and how to break your own upper limit and your glass ceiling. And this is something very important for all the aspiring entrepreneurs as well as already in business entrepreneurs, because every different level of your business is going to come with new sets of money blocks that you might have to actually conquer yourself. This really goes out to any and every single one of us, in my opinion, because we all have some money stories, whether they come from our childhood, whether they're things that are imposed on us without us noticing, or whether it's just kind of the stories we tell ourselves based on the content we consume. So I really love listening to this podcast to really sort of also walk through my own journey and help me clear my money blocks as well. So for example, to give an example, I used to have a very big issue with marketing that was money outcome, sort of promising money outcomes. So like have your 10K month, have your multiple 6, 7 figure business. It used to freak me out because I had my own money blocks around that. Maybe deep down, I didn't believe it was possible. I thought it was just some sort of marketing, quote unquote, scheme or scam to get people in to, sell more of your products. And then when I unpacked that more and more, I realized, you know what, there's nothing inherently wrong with hitting 10K months or having a multiple 6 or 7 figure business. In fact, right now, after making that concise decision, I put myself on the track to be one of those people who have a multiple 6 figure business. So this is why I love the podcast. So definitely check it out. JOD Pod is great, but also Chill and Prosper, if you're interested in sort of also working on your own money blocks and mindset, is a great podcast.
Wonderful. Can you give me the name of the podcaster again? I got Denise, but I missed the rest of it.
Yeah, DeField Thomas. Or she actually also just goes by Denise DT, which is super simple. It's denisedt.com. Totally not sponsored, just I'm a fan and it's been really helpful in my journey, so definitely worth mentioning.
Denise DT. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's really useful for me. I'm not that quick at typing, and my ears weren't working too well. So who should we be keeping an eye on? Who's an up-and-comer in your marketplace, apart from you, Gulce? Because I think I'm going to be keeping an eye on you in the future. Who else should we be keeping an eye on?
Thank you. Specifically in the YouTube field, honestly, I don't really do a lot of looking around because I don't want to. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. I don't want to subconsciously influence myself to make decisions that I wouldn't otherwise do based on seeing some competitor approach things that I also approach in a maybe even similar way or in a slightly different way. So I like to kind of keep myself secured and protect my energy, sort of, allow me to sort of boil in my own creativity without getting too much external direct competitor input, so to say. But in this sort of digital marketing and business space, Maggie Gila is amazing. I feel like she definitely deserves a major shout out. She's been doing fantastic, especially the last 2 years. She's been really scaling her business. And I would say she is like number one to watch out for. She's going to be big very, very soon. She's an amazing business and marketing coach and strategist. I definitely think she's worth watching. So if anybody is interested in checking out what she does, let's also link her down in the description because she's also had such a huge impact on me and, starting my own business, doing my own launches and growing my own business as well. So she's a great mentor.
Brilliant. That's a great recommendation. I want to try and shine a light on as many female founders, female businesswomen as I can to inspire the next generation. And that's a great recommendation there. And we'll definitely link to Maggie in the show notes. Thanks for that, Gulce. And where's the best place for people to find about you online and follow up with what you're doing?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about Jumpstart YouTube and everything that I do and how I can help you, you can check out jumpstartyoutube.com. Simple and easy. And if you want to connect with me, I'm also available on all the social media platforms. I'm not as active on all of them. I'm mostly active on LinkedIn and, of course, YouTube. So you can definitely connect with me on there, but you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Gulce. There we have it. Gulce is the founder and chief creative nerd of Jumpstart YouTube. She helps coaches and online course creators attract qualified clients into their business through implementation of high converting video content. She started vlogging when she was 9 years old with one of those big Panasonic cameras, and she made her first business. She's made her first sale to a customer in summer 2020, where she sold 15 or 16 21-day accelerators to people that she'd never met before through her Instagram channel. That is just so motivating to hear that story, Gulce. Her number one app that she uses every day, look, she's a video creator. She uses Adobe Premiere Pro, of course she does. And she's currently reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. We'll link to that in the show notes, so if you haven't picked it up, you can pick that up. And the podcast from Denise DT is the Chill and Prosper podcast that she loves listening to. Sounds pretty inspirational and something that we should all be checking out. It's new to me. I will definitely be checking that out. And we should be keeping an eye on Maggie Geller, especially the work that she's done in the last 2 years. She's a business coach, marketing coach, and a female founder that's going places. Really great recommendation there, Gulce. Please follow up with Gulce and check out jumpstartyoutube.com. That's jumpstartyoutube.com. Or head over to LinkedIn. Let's flood Gulce's inbox with invites. She loves talking to people about YouTube and marketing. Her name on LinkedIn is Gulce, as Gulce, Onganer, as Onganer. Gulce, thanks for joining us today on the JOD Pod.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been my pleasure.
It's been so much fun having you on. I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us on today's JOD Pod with our interview with Gulce. Hopefully you've been inspired by Gulce's interview and story. If you want to make sure that you don't miss out on any of these future interviews and episodes of the JOD Pod, you need to play the YouTube game. Gulce knows this. You need to subscribe. You need to hit the bell. You need to hit like. And let's ask Gulce some questions in the comments below. I will bully Gulce to come back and answer every single one of them. If you've got a question about YouTube growth, about entrepreneurialism, about starting your own course, Gulce will come back and answer these. I'm pretty sure she will. And hopefully you've been inspired to go and do something yourself. Start your own YouTube channel. Build something. Create something. You know, Gulce launched her business in the middle of a pandemic. I'm sure you can do the same. Go build something and inspire the next generation. Thanks for joining us today on the JOD Pod. If you enjoyed this interview, why don't you check out some of these other interviews that we've done on the JOD Pod. More inspirational CEOs, coaches, entrepreneurs, founders, and authors. I'm sure there's something here that will inspire you to build something new.